have a lot to talk about in today's episode. Like always, my name's Jose Najarro. I focus on the semiconductor and AI market. Companies like Nvidia, companies like AMD, companies like CoreWeave, that's what you get in this live stream. These live streams are just a quick 1 hour Q&A session. One of the biggest news that came out today is Nvidia is purchasing or just purchased more CoreWeave, about $2 billion investment in that company. So Nvidia and CoreWeave are my two biggest positions. So obviously I'm pretty excited, but let's get some questions. Hope everybody had a great, hope the winter storm didn't affect y'all too much. My back is hurting me though from all the shoveling. Um, but we got some, what's going on, Sage? All right, we got some questions here. Let's see the first question. So Sage Specter, good morning. Good morning, Jose. Why is AMD stock down? I don't think there's anything crucial happening to AMD stock. And let's pull it up right now. Let's look at the AMD stock is down about 2%. I mean, first, this is a stock that has seen a nice just in the past 5 days, right? The stock, even with today's drop, is up roughly 12.8%. In the past month, the stock is up 17%. In the past 6 months, the stock is up 45%. I think there's just a little bit of pullback right now, Sage Specter. There might be some fears of Nvidia investing more in CoreWeave. Now CoreWeave is going to buy more Nvidia and Nvidia, right? So I wonder if that's creating some fear. I don't think so. I think it's more just the overextension of AMD in the past few days, that, hey, let's pull back. I mean, after Intel's earnings, this was a stock that saw a lot of, just last week, right? We saw, I think, Meta news of Meta maybe most likely going to buy more AMD. And then Intel said that they were supply constrained, which was overall bullish for AMD if they have the strong supply. Edster, good morning. Good morning, Ed. How's it going? Hope everything's is going good with you. Good morning, Martin. Good morning, Martin. Let's and while we're wait for some questions, like I mentioned, this is a nice Q&A session. It's a quick hour of me just trying to answer as much possible. Let's look at this CoreWeave news, because unfortunately, because of the storm, we asked the babysitter not to come. We didn't want the babysitter to be driving in the snow. But then I didn't have much time to work this morning, so I just saw the headlines. I haven't read it completely. So CoreWeave to adopt NVIDIA CPU and storage platforms and multiple NVIDIA generations. So CoreWeave today announced an expansion of their long-standing complementary relationship to enable CoreWeave to accelerate the build-out of more than 5 gigawatts of AI factories by 2030 to advance the adoption of AI adoption at global scale. And for those that have been watching my channel, right, one of the things that I've talked about NVIDIA is this. I personally believe NVIDIA and CoreWeave have a relationship that NVIDIA doesn't have, and a partnership that NVIDIA doesn't have with other major AI players, right? And the AI infrastructure players, right? And I'm not talking about just that partnership. A lot of the AI infrastructures have like that platinum partnership with NVIDIA. They have some form of partnership, like just your namesake partnership. But I believe there's an actual direct partnership between NVIDIA and CoreWeave, because CoreWeave has actually been working with NVIDIA for a long time. So I'm pretty sure the management knows each other really well. NVIDIA and CoreWeave is always the first to adopt anything NVIDIA does. And that has been one of my very main reasons to be excited about CoreWeave, right? Because NVIDIA has this vision of AI factories, and who else to really share that vision than CoreWeave? So in addition, NVIDIA has invested $2 billion in CoreWeave Class Common A stock at a purchase price of $87.20. So they already own equity here, but they're buying more. The investment reflects NVIDIA's confidence in CoreWeave's business, team, and growth strategy as a cloud player. Now, there's always these bearish takes of, Jose, NVIDIA's giving CoreWeave $2 billion so CoreWeave can buy more AI chips, and this circular financing. It's and Eric just kind of Eric over here kind of in sarcasm talks about it. Circularity strikes again. But it's important to understand the numbers, right? NVIDIA has talked about that 1 gigawatt is about $30 to $40 billion in revenue for NVIDIA. Here they're talking about 5 gigawatts, right? 5 gigawatts. So you're telling me that 5 gigawatts times 30 is about what, $150 billion for Nvidia in revenue. The $2 billion isn't really going to make that difference for Nvidia, right? It's not going to really allow CoreWeave to make that purchase, right? It's not really used for money to buy as many GPUs as possible to fulfill this order. You're going to buy some GPUs out of it, but it's not going to fulfill that 5 gigawatts. So it's not really, in my opinion, that circular strike that's happening that many are discussing. I know Eric here was kind of just put sarcasm there, but I hear that a lot, right? It's like, oh, $2 billion. $2 billion is not going to cover 5 gigawatts of AI. It's not even going to cover 1 gigawatt. Right. But it's NVIDIA. If you're excited about the market, right? If you're excited about the AI infrastructure space, why wouldn't you invest in companies within the AI infrastructure market, as well as keeping? So you're going to get equity. You're going to make sure your customer is also running up and healthy. And it also showcases the market that, look, there's confidence within this business. One of the biggest things in the AI market right now is the market and analysts and FinTwit people don't have confidence in this business, right? It's too expensive, too much debt, GPU's depreciation. But this is kind of a show way of showcasing, look, we are confident with this business. We are confident with how the AI infrastructure market is going to be built out. So let's see, demand for AI continues to grow. I just want to continue to see this, and then I'll jump into the questions because, like I mentioned, I haven't really read it just yet. And I think there was a interview, maybe at CNBC. I didn't get to watch it, between Jensen and Nvidia's and CoreWeave CEO around 9:30 today. Hopefully, I can watch that video later to see how those two talk. But build AI factories, right? AI factories is different from data centers, and CoreWeave and NVIDIA continue to do this. Um, Deploy multiple generations of NVIDIA's infrastructure across CoreWeave's platforms. That's something CoreWeave has always done. They're always the first to build massive scale, the first to Hopper, the first to Blackwell, the first to Blackwell Ultra. From the very beginning, our collaboration has been guided by a simple conviction. AI succeeds when software, infrastructure, and operations aren't designed together. NVIDIA is the leading and most requested computing platform at every phase of AI, from pre-training to post-training, and Blackwell provides the lowest cost architecture for inference. All right. Overall, I'm excited about this, right? We did see CoreWeave stock do a nice pull-up, went up 9%. It was as high as, I think, like 12%, 106, but still double digits. I'm curious to see how other stocks are down. NVIDIA down on the day, AMD down. How did the other... Overall, it's bullish for the AI infrastructure, but I think the market, okay, is the market scared for some reason? We see Nebius down, Aehr down 5.2%. The rest of the market, except CoreWeave, is holding, at least for now, some of that green. It's pulling back, but hopefully we can hold from here. So let's jump into some of the questions here, and let's see what else we got. Oh, let's see. We got Vasquez. Good morning. Good morning, Vasquez. Faraz 103 here is good afternoon. Good afternoon. I'm pretty sure I butchered that name. Good morning, Jose. Do you have an opinion on Uber? Seems good value, and they could also be involved in FSD. So Ryan Walker, I do own Uber, right? There's very limited stocks that I have outside of the semiconductor space. I have Uber. I've done a few videos in the past of Uber. My main reason to own Uber is I do believe AI is going to help this company, maybe not just in autonomous driving like most people think, but Uber has so much data. And that data, if you're able to reduce the time to deliver something, reduce the time to get a driver to a user, you're going to be able to attract more customers. You're going to be able to increase your bottom line numbers. So just AI and data efficiencies, I think Uber is pretty exciting. And then you have the added on feature of ads that they're integrating. Then you have the added on feature of autonomous driving, which they're working with various partners. I like Uber as a long-term hold. One I don't look at every often, because I think it's like one of those companies you don't need to look at every quarter. You can just hold long. So those are my thoughts on Uber, Ryan. Mora, any thoughts on Aehr Test System? So Aehr Test System is one of the two micro cap stocks that I own. Right now, I would say you have a lot of excitement in this stock. I would personally be doing, if I was to be adding, I'm not adding right now just because I'm happy with my position size, dollar cost averaging into it, right? You have the excitement of memory market, you have the excitement of AI accelerators, you have the excitement of just the burn and test and the efficiencies that it provides. You have the excitement of hyperscalers working on great orders for their AI systems. Overall, I like Aehr test system. We saw TSM saying that they're going to continue to invest massive in capex. Right now, though, it would be more of a dollar cost average for me, but that's because of my portfolio allocation and how I'm already pretty happy with it. Let's see what other questions. Corey's price target, BSTKY73. Uh, Trying to think what this stands for. 73. I don't have a price target. I normally don't do price targets on stocks, right? I don't know when it's going to get there. I think CoreWeave has the opportunity to be a $200 billion market cap. So a 4Xer from here. That doesn't mean a 4Xer in 1 year. I think within the next 5 years, I feel comfortable giving a 5-year price target. In 5 years, I expect this to be a market cap of $200 billion. So a four bagger from here, due to the massive demand of AI infrastructure. So that's the closest thing. A 5-year price target is the most you get from me, BSTKY. I think in the short term, there could be so much volatility, there could be so much noise that I don't even bother by it. I look at an investment and saying, in 5 to 10 years, can this be a multi-bagger for me, or should I just invest in the overall market? If it could be a multi-bagger, then I invest in it. Um, so, whenever CoreWeave and Nvidia published the new, my first thought was, "Damn, Jose is going to be very happy today." I was extremely, extremely, extremely happy on this one. And see, like I mentioned, price target. I don't know. Tomorrow, this stock can go down. It was just in 70s. In the short term, you continue to see a lot of negative bearish tape, right? If there's any more data center delays, if there's more fears of GPU depreciation, if there's if there's a fear of maybe capex slowing down from hyperscalers, if there's a fear of maybe Nvidia GPUs not being the key player anymore, CoreWeave can move on a lot of this news. If there's fear, like let's say China comes out with like another DeepSeek moment, maybe not necessarily a DeepSeek moment, but something similar like a black swan event in the AI space. Um, this is a stock that's going to be very volatile, right? That's the main thing I'll say with this one is I wouldn't be surprised if in a month we see $70. I wouldn't be surprised if in a month we see 100 and something, 140, right? That's how volatile this is going to be. What's happening with the acquisition of Core Scientific? CoreWeave is not made it. How will it affect their business? Kante, you're right. So it didn't make it, right? The acquisition of Core Scientific failed, right? I think it was this was announced Core Scientific stock acquisition. Um, Here, so we saw on October 30th of 2025 that the termination was the agreement was terminated. I've talked about this in the past. CoreWeave acquisition of Core Scientific would have been a nice to have, but not a need to have. There's plenty of partners. CoreWeave has Core Scientific still is going to be a partner of CoreWeave. The only thing is you were going to save a little bit on some of the margins, right? You weren't going to really save billions of dollars per quarter by this. You were going to save a little bit on margins that you pay the middleman, Core Scientific, for the power shells and AI infrastructure. It didn't happen. I've talked about it in the past. I think Core Scientific investors, if you hold long term, are going to regret it. I think I think Cores would have been better off owning in the long term, owning Nvidia, owning positions of CoreWeave than staying independent. But I don't think it's going to affect it much. CoreWeave is building their own AI infrastructure. They're renting with a lot of players. They have players like Galaxy, like Applied Digital, I think like Core Scientific. All those are players that they've already kind of building infrastructure with, either being their power shells and so on. Lavon, hey, did you speak about Broadcom already? What are your thoughts? I've talked about Broadcom in the past, right? I mean, the ASIC market definitely has opportunity. They have a great partnership with Google. They have a lot of ASIC builds that they're building, so there's a lot of revenue potential here. I personally believe that they're gonna return similar levels to Nvidia. Maybe they might outperform 1 year Nvidia or something like that, but I don't know why. I feel like my exposure of having Nvidia and Broadcom are very similar. Um, but there's a lot of bullish opportunity here, right? I'd rather own Nvidia um, than Broadcom. Obviously, you could own both. There's many people that own both, but I feel like the returns are going to be very, very similar in a long-term thing. I'm relative new to investing. Do these analyst price targets really matter, or do you more or less take them with a grain of salt? Some of them don't make sense. Ryan, I really don't care about price targets of given by analysts for my investment thesis, right? Ryan, for my investment thesis, I don't care about them. But I do understand that the price target could create a bullish sentiment on the stock, right? So it could create short-term sentiment on the stock if it's either bullish or bearish, right? If it's a bearish price target, it could make the stock price be bearish for maybe the short term of things, and vice versa. If it's bullish, it can kind of do it. So I look at it more just to understand the market sentiment, because usually, right, when stocks go up, you start to see all these price target hikes. When markets go down, you start to see all these price targets downgrade. So it helps me understand more the market sentiment. But for me, I don't really use them for my investment thesis. But Ryan, I do read the thesis because sometimes these analysts do have supply chain checks. They have data and information that your retail investors can't get. So I try to read between the lines of why the price target happened, why the price target degrade or the price downgrade happened. So more of like understanding the information they have versus grabbing the price target. Any capex prediction before earnings? I think we see an increase in capex, right? I mean, Nvidia just announced Vera Rubin is in full production. I think we're going to see second half of this year be heavy in capex to buy all those Vera Rubins. We have AMD releasing the MI 455. So I think capex prediction, we're definitely not gonna see negative capex in my opinion. If we do see negative capex, that'll be wild. But I see at least flat to more capex than they projected last quarter. At least for the long-term things. In the short term, right, quarter by quarter, capex really depends on when the chips are being made. So there's always could be some form of fluctuation on a quarter-to-quarter basis, but the full year guidance on capex, I think, will be higher than what they predicted last quarter for a lot of companies, or if not, at least those same elevated numbers. You think that CoreWeave still will affect Nebius? Duck Attack, I think in sentiment, you could say that CoreWeave still showcases that there's a lot of AI infrastructure demand, and in theory, it should be bullish for Nebius, right? Now, I think that's how I would take it. As a Nebius investor, I would take it. There's so much AI infrastructure demand. Nebius should be good in the long term. In the short term, I think the market might project it as negative. And Nvidia, the top dog, is choosing CoreWeave. Why did it choose CoreWeave over Nebius? Why did it choose CoreWeave over Aehr? Why did it choose CoreWeave over some of these other players, right? I think that's how the market might perceive it also in the short term. I, as a Nebius investor, already knew that CoreWeave and Nvidia have a really great partnership. To me, as a Nebius investor, it's just, look, this market is just getting started. This is an indication that we are still very early in this AI infrastructure spending. So that's how I see it. How the market might perceive it might be a little bit negative. Let's see. What else do we have here? I'm curious, what if you're a Nebius investor, do you see the CoreWeave investment as bullish or bearish, even though Nebius didn't get it? Like, I mean, for me, it's bullish because it showcases AI infrastructure, but we'd love to hear from others how they perceive this Nvidia and CoreWeave news. Is there any connection between Intel's success and CoreWeave better processors, more computers? The only thing is, I don't know. CoreWeave uses more NVIDIA solutions for AI infrastructure. And for AI infrastructure, Nvidia uses their own CPUs, which is the Vera or the Grace. Now, Nvidia does use Intel for their enterprise GPUs, for their enterprise solutions. So for like the DGX8 Vera Rubin, they're going to use Intel CPU. So overall, since CoreWeave is building AI infrastructures, I don't think it's much of a win for Intel. Because for CoreWeave, they're most likely going to be using the Vera CPU and the Grace CPU. They're not going to be using Intel CPU. There could be a portion where maybe CoreWeave and Nvidia are building AI infrastructures for hyperscale for enterprise. And if it is for enterprise, then you might see a little bit of that partnership with Nvidia and Intel. But I think overall, I think it's more bullish for ARM CPUs opposed to x86 CPUs. Did Amit finish streaming? It seems like the flow end came in. Is he done streaming? Good morning, Jose. Good morning, Esmal. Esmal? I'm sorry, I butcher everyone's name. This is if I pronounce your name correctly, it's a rare occasion. What are your thoughts in getting into Micron here for long term? I've said it in the past. I'm not a fan of the memory market. Now I understand the bullish case, right? I mean, you have HBM sold out. And I just 2 days ago I posted an interview that I did with Hamid. He's the CEO of Savvy Trader and Earnings Hub, and he's very bullish on Micron, right? He has a price target of $900 based on just forward PE expansion or PE expansion. That's not something, and I try to kind of fight it and say, look, forward PE for Micron is usually around 10. Why would it ever go a little bit higher? But again, the HBM market is extremely excited right now, right? I see the bullish reasons. You're sold out. You need more AI GPUs. TSM announced that AI accelerators is going to continue to grow. So how long can this shortage last? Could it last multiple years? Answer is yes. I just personally, with all my AI investments, I'm already heavily in the AI market. I feel like now that's even more risk than I don't need right now. Maybe if I didn't have much AI investments, my thoughts would be different. But my risk is saying, Jose, you're already investing a lot in AI infrastructure. You're investing a lot of AI GPUs. Now you want to go into AI memory. You're going a little too crazy right now, right? So I see the bullish case. I'm personally not buying. I mean, there was I think there was let me just sorry, let me see something. And hope everybody's staying warm. Samsung HBM4. I think there's even news that Samsung to start production of HBM4 chips next month for Nvidia supply, sources say. So now the competition is heating up for HBM4, right? You have SK Hynix, which is the leader. Now you have Micron, and now you have Samsung as well. Eventually, there's going to come a time when there's an oversupply of it. What all matters is all like what happens to HBM5 or HBM4E, right? HBM4E and so on and so forth. Can Micron continue to innovate at a fast level? If there's ever a slip up on any innovations, that would be scary, right? So I think there's just too much risk because this market is really pushing at rapid levels and you have a lot of competition. I'm not sure on the stock. I'm not saying the stock can't go higher because this one is ripping. Just for me, I'm not into the price to reward ratio, right? It gets a little scary for me. Maybe I don't have diamond hands like some of you guys. Yeah, so it seems a lot of talks here on Micron. So those are my thoughts. Hopefully y'all don't hate me for not having the cojones to hold Micron. Uber is about to get disrupted by Tesla's robo-taxis. Run the numbers and Tesla's manufacturing output. No brainer how that turns out. I just think it's never a one market wins all, right? How to actually invest. It's always there's always multiple winners. I mean, even if you're not the best, you're still able to provide a great business, right? AMD has done amazing, even though Nvidia is the GOAT. Lyft, I think, has probably done amazing, even though Uber's the GOAT. If Tesla ends up being the robo-taxi mountain monster, there's still an opportunity for all the players, right? So I never believe in a one winner takes it all. unless it's something very niche, extremely niche. Robo taxis is not niche because everyone in the consumer market would want to run some form of autonomous driving, right? So that's not a niche market. ASML, extremely niche, only a few handed selected customers. But something in the consumer space, I think it's very rare for you to have a niche product that only one winner happens. Congrats, Jose, on CoreWeave. I just started a position on Nebius, hoping it hits under 90, but excited for this one too. Praise, appreciate it. I'm excited for Nebius, right? I do own Nebius, so I'm with you there on that. Um, Nebius, I think it's going to do well. We have excitement in the AI infrastructures. Any companies you want to see IPO? I don't know. I can't think of any right now. Um, I can't think of one. Maybe not for investment purposes, but I wouldn't mind seeing Claude, Anthropic, or OpenAI IPO, right? Just so I can see the finances, and just so I can have more understanding of how the market is going there, right? So you can be able to listen to those earnings calls, so you can be able to listen to what's going on, what are some of the innovations. But AI infrastructure, AI model companies, I would love to pure AI model companies, right? We have Google with Gemini, but it's very rare for them to just talk about Gemini. I would love to have someone in the AI model market be public that purely focuses on that so we can understand a little bit more of what's happening. Um, let's see, what else do we have here? Next question. I am sorry, but it's hilarious how the market works, right? I'm not laughing at. I mean, I think both Nebius happens, but imagine you being that. Um, it's crazy how the market, no matter who you are, like it could happen to anyone. It could happen to me. It could happen to anybody. It's just how funny the market works. It's funny how life is, right? You're like, you know what? I'm going this in the long term. I think Nebius is going to be fine, right? Cuts. So I really wouldn't um I really wouldn't like if I wouldn't beat myself out of it, right? But it's just crazy how life works. It's like, you know what? I think this is a smart decision. Refresh and boom. It's like, yo, what the heck did I do? Um, again, appreciate this. It really did. Not for your misery. I think you're gonna do good. But it's just life is just hilarious in its own way. Um, yeah, and that's the thing, right? It's all about how it's Nebius and CoreWeave are both great players, right? First, let me just continue by saying that it's just the world works funny. The world is just a funny thing. It likes to make us suffer. Um, let's see what else. What's going on, June? Good morning. Good morning. How do you think sales of AMD's MI300 series in fourth quarter 2025? Can't say. I don't think. I mean, the MI300 is all right. I think they're more selling the MI325. We've seen a little bit more demand of the MI325 and the MI350. Right, the MI350 just sold. We saw Oracle on their last earnings mentioned they're already getting shipping. So I think it's not even about the MI325 anymore. It's more about the MI350. So the MI350, I think we're seeing decent demand there. I think there's decent demand compared to what AMD has seen in the past, right? I'm not talking about Nvidia base levels. I think if we look at, let's just jump into fiscal.ai really quick. And if you guys ever want great charts, I know I probably bored you here, but fiscal.ai/Jose, you get 15% off. The link is on the pin description. But let's go to financials. Let's go to quarterly basis. Quarterly. Let's go to total revenues. And let's look at next quarter, right? So there was a nice jump between September 25th and June 25th. You see that nice gap. December 25th, which is this quarter you're just talking about, you see a small step up, about $400 million per sequential growth based on analyst expectations. And I think this is what AMD projected as well. I think AMD is actually going to do closer to $10.5 billion, I think, or 10.2. I think based on the CPU market, based on the selling of MI350s, I think the market is underestimating how much growth we might see next quarter or this quarter, this upcoming earnings next week on AMD. So I think MI350s is doing decent for AMD's numbers, right? They're not doing other companies' numbers, but it's going to be a nice incremental growth for AMD. Let's see, what else do we have here? I saw Big Buck. Did I post this comment yet? Have I gotten there yet? I was at Microsoft headquarters today. CTO told me AI infrastructure will just get bigger. There is shortage of compute and power. David, amazing. First, pretty awesome that you're able to talk to CTOs. What do you do, if I may ask? That's pretty awesome. But AI infrastructure gets bigger. Duck Attack, I'm guessing this is for my Nebius response. We see praise here, still bullish, obviously, on Nebius, on that CoreWeave news. Let me just pull this up open. MU looks cheap at a forward PE of 12, but the stock is sensitive to DRAM prices and can change very quickly. That's the only thing, right? And the memory market is such a secretive market that you don't really know how things are going until maybe like the last minute. So that's why prices can change very quickly. Shows me high demand across all AI companies. This is regarding Nvidia and CoreWeave, but pushing to CoreWeave, to Nebius, I mean. We do have more people see it. Duck Attacks are bullish for Nebius as well. I'm not getting out industries. I'm not getting out of semi companies for the next 2 years. I agree. I think we still have massive investments happening in the AI infrastructure space that I wouldn't see a reason not to be invested in semiconductor companies or even a semiconductor ETF, right? SMH, SOXX, XOXQ, or all these semiconductor ETFs. Some are more equally weighted, some are more heavily rated on certain stocks. But a semiconductor ETF, I think, for me, is a must in my portfolios. Big Bug, what's going on, Big Bug? Good morning, good morning. Hope you're doing okay. Nebius is out of contracted power. Only CoreWeave and Iron has power of today. And that's because, I mean, they're all building out, right? So, but this CoreWeave is fully utilized already too, right? It's the new power that's coming in, and it's not like this is for even more power as well. Let's see. ASML. Did ASML really cross 1400? Nice. 1400. Congratulations to the bulls. This one has done amazing. Almost 100% in 6 months, right? Marvell is down almost 35% for a year. Do you still think it's a good hold? Yes. Luckily for me, Marvell is not one we bought in the 100s. We bought these in the 60s and 70s, and that's where most of my videos have been. Long term, I'm still very bullish in this. It's one of those that's bullish with with risk, right? With a $68 billion market cap, you have the opportunity to grow in AI ASIC. They have great partnership with Amazon. They have partnerships with other players as well. And then they also are in the kind of networking market. They made the recent acquisition to be able to focus on scale up with Celestio. I forget the name of the acquisition they made, but they made an acquisition with optics. Base scale-up communications. They're also going to enter the AEC market pretty quickly within the next year or so. So for the networking side, I think there's opportunity, and then you have the added ASIC side. Very volatile, right? This is to me is one of my higher risk, higher reward based plays. Let's see, what else do we have? I'm trying to answer as many questions as I can. Refugees. All right, so he did finish streaming about 12 minutes ago. Esmal is Spanish. Come on, Esmal. Okay, but I don't know. Sometimes if you make it in Spanish, right? Nothing works without RAM. True. But it's not just about RAM. That's the thing with Micron. You have to understand. It's right now. It's because you're using the most updated RAM. There's no undersupply in like older generation RAM. Chinese players can cook it up, right? It's what happens if the market says, you know what, maybe we don't need the most updated memory market because it's just so expensive. We're going to create solutions that use weaker memory that I know other players can provide. What if HBM eventually becomes no longer the bottleneck? And it's like, you know what, maybe I can go back to HBM3E because I found some form of improvements somewhere else that now I can use a weaker node, a more mature node that has higher yields and weaker pricing. That's the thing, right? There's so many different versions of DRAM or RAM. It's not just one type. I've been in Micron since 2015 and made a killing, but it's been Micron, right? Is definitely that's one of the most ups and downs, right? That's a long term holding. Nice. Pretty sure that's Hebrew, Arabic, and that's Spanish. Big beard. Pretty much the same. Have you guys watched the shorts? It's like you Spanish people think Arabic people are Spanish because a lot of the words are very similar, like camisa, arroz. There's so many words that just mix that are pretty similar. Um, which I found pretty interesting. All right. Micron is building 2 new foundries and just bought one in Taiwan, plus upgraded their existing foundries. Yep. More, that's going to be great, right? I mean, I see the bullish case for Micron. They're definitely doing amazing improvement in their balance sheet, right? A lot of cash. They're now net cash positive, something they haven't been in a long time. Management is doing really well with that balance sheet improvement. So that can be a saving grace in the short-term negative sentiment. What do you think about Shopify at the moment? Almost 20% down the last month. I mean, I don't follow the e-commerce market, but I would say Shopify. I mean, you have the excitement of having so much data, so many players in there. When you have a lot of data, I think you can benefit from AI e-commerce, right? I think they have partnerships with ChatGPT as well, with OpenAI. I wouldn't put them out of the race. I just don't know what their market, with their valuation, right? That's a whole different story. But Shopify as a business, I think their leader knows how to do stuff really well. I think he's innovative. And I think he follows the right trends. So as a business, I think Shopify is fine. I don't know about valuation. Let's see what's the next question. Big Beard is not Hebrew. Silicon Gods, I think so, right? And you must have to have storage with all the data and info. The storage has to be somewhere. Seagate and Western Digital are the player that's been since the 80s. Yeah, I mean, especially when you're going to be working with crazy long context, right? RM, Nevada. Um, I said almost Nevada because Nvidia, but it's Nevada, not Nvidia. But completely out of the reason. I say my ends now different because Nvidia. But and right, you're going to get video context. Storage is definitely. I just don't follow this market too well to understand what is the moat between Seagate and Western Digital besides the shortage. Is the shortage the only moat, or is there more to it? People always want to jump into stuff after the run up. I get it, Robert. Could you comment on Seagate? I don't. Ariella, I don't have much thoughts on Seagate, right? I don't know that storage market too well. I just know one of my boys. Shout out to Dave Silva here. This dude has owned. It's been one of his biggest winners. Um, just in case he's watching, shout out to Dave Silva. David, data and info are not stored on memory chips. It's stored in databases. It has nothing to do with memory chips. RM and Vada. Yes, yes. So there's different types of memory. There's different types of use cases. There are different reasons why you might need certain memory on chip. There's also different types of memory that you need and storage that you need off chips. Um, so the memory market is just a whole complex within itself, right? There's a big difference between Micron and Seagate and SanDisk and all those players. Have you heard of CXMT IPO in China market? Memory chip company. What do you think of participating in this? It's very rare, can't say, for me to enter the China market. I actually don't enter it. Um, I for semiconductor space, there's so much volatility. There's so much tensions, right? I mean, you can't get the best products. You can't get the best equipment in China. You can't from like companies like ASML and all these. So much restrictions that for me, semiconductor market, I purely want to play in the United States. I think, and the China, there's so for me, I don't really do IPOs in this market. Um, Nebius is selling off. Is it? Let's go. Nebius. It's flat, right? It's flat. Don't look at this, right? Always just look at this, and then just look five. It's selling off. Let's look at this, right? Look at the 1 month. It's not that bad. Look at the 6 months. It's not that bad. Um, is CoreWeave selling off? All right, we're back to 100s. I didn't want to. I shouldn't be able to show CoreWeave right now. Um, Let's see what other questions we have. Appreciate the support, y'all. If it is your first time here, make sure to hit the thumbs up and subscribe button. What do you think about Seda? Seems got highlight recently. I don't follow this one. I don't know if you guys know anybody that follows Seda pretty well. Maybe we can have them on the channel in one of these live streams and just give me the 101 on this company. I don't follow it, but maybe if I don't follow it, I should have someone the community knows as a bull, so I can hear that bullish take from them, and maybe we can learn a little bit about them. So if you know someone who is bullish on SATA and knows the market really well, let me know. Maybe we can have them on in the channel. And I'm like about 14 minutes behind the Q&A session. So by the time I get there, I might have forgotten. So say, I think this person follows SATA pretty well. I think Neil follows everything, but I'll talk to Neil. I'll see if Neil follows it. But I wouldn't mind just someone who really follows it. Maybe Neil really follows it, so I'll talk to him. But if someone who really follows it, like, if you know someone who really follows the semiconductor AI space, you talk about me, right? You talk about me. If you want someone about fintech, maybe I talk to Neil. But I feel like there are certain players that you really know something about an industry, and their word goes a lot higher. Let's see what else. What else? Oh man, I missed the question. Hold on. I don't know where we're at in questions. We're getting good questions. Appreciate the support. Let's see where we're at. Okay, let's see. At this one, this one would be a nice one if it IPOs. I wouldn't mind this one. Do you like Applied Digital? I think the trend, what's up 24/7, is good for PowerShells. I prefer power infrastructure, AI infrastructure, where you actually have the build out a little bit more. So I'm bullish in the PowerShells because we are in the shortage, but I don't know if I would personally invest as a long term just yet. For companies like Applied Digital, right? I can definitely see Applied Digital doing really well. I'm pretty sure it's doing amazing just because of PowerShell shortages. But personally, I like the AI infrastructure. I think it has an added moat with it. Because PowerShells, you usually have long-term contracts, 10 plus years. Margins are a little bit weaker, and stuff like that. But obviously the market likes them, and there's a huge, huge shortage right now in PowerShells. Let's see, what else do we have? Yeah, so this one's a good one. Jose, what's going on? I'm Beneficial. How's everything? Hope you're doing well. Jose, great to see you streaming more often. Trying to do daily, at least 1 hour, 11 to 12, straight Q&A session, right? Straight Q&A session. So I hope you guys are enjoying this, just Q&As. Luckily, you guys have a lot of great questions and comments, right? You might also just teach me a thing. I'm waiting for that Canva IPO. I use Canva, the Adobe easier player, right? I use Canva on Canva, or is it Canvas? Whichever. I think that one, if the market doesn't give it a premium, looks interesting. I use it on a daily basis for my YouTube creation. Any thoughts on why Skywater sold to IRQ Star? This is what I've been wondering all day. I saw, again, I've been pretty busy with the little one this morning, so I didn't get to do research. This is something I want to learn more. What is IRQ doing? Why do they need a manufacturing player from Skywater? What type of equipment does Skywater has? I don't even know the Skywater tower too much. What kind of nodes were they developing? What are they exactly? Are they? I want to learn more about this. This is one where it's like, how does this integrate? Right? Why do they need this manufacturing? This is why you don't try to time the market. Hi, Jose. What do you think of opening a position on Marvell? I like it, right, Jeff? I think it's a very volatile place. Some of the plays I like are extremely volatile. So let me just tell you, if you most likely buy somewhere between 77 and 80, expect the stock to drop down to 70s or 60s, and you're going to come back angry and say, Jose said this is the greatest stock ever. I think long term, there's a lot of opportunity. Short term, extremely, extremely volatile. But I sold Nebius at 3% and bought when it was flat. By the way, I was holding CoreWeave for months. Oh, we talked about that already. Sold some cash secure puts on CoreWeave today. great. I think that's not a bad. I wouldn't be opposed to that, right? Retail investor. I think that's actually a smart move. I would never do it on the whole position. Let's say I had 2,000 shares. I would sell it. Or I would do like two or three, right? I would never do all 20. Um, yeah, I agree. Yeah, don't regret anything. Never regret anything, right? Regret, it's long term. You'll probably forget you did it. CoreWeave is my neo cloud horse, though. My whole thesis was that Daddy Warbucks Nvidia would flush CoreWeave with cash anytime needed. I think that's definitely one of the things, right? Many people forget. Nvidia doesn't want the AI market to fail, and they have plenty of cash. These $2 billion investments um, help the market continue to run, right? They are the bank, the owners, everything. Jose, don't sleep on iron. People don't realize it's a sleeping piece. 3 gigawatt connected power and more than my friend Simon. He's on the community at AI. What the chip happened. Loves iron. 3 gigawatts connected, and one more gigawatt will be added soon. Next revenue will be 5 billion, and in 2027, 10 billion. Definitely right. I definitely see that. Right. I know they have a lot of connected power. The way I look at it, right, is also it's not just about connected power either, right? Running 100,000 GPU AI infrastructure is not an easy task. You need to be able to make sure you handle the reliability really well. CoreWeave, one of the reasons they're able to have one of the premium pricing on chips on their rentals is because their reliability is extremely, extremely high. If you're putting up a 100,000 AI infrastructure and you have a lot of downtime, customers are going to hate that. They're going to be able to back out of deals, right? I'm not saying that's what's going to happen with iron, but I just don't have, I have the data point that CoreWeave can do it, right? And it makes my investment thesis even that more sound. I don't have that data point from iron because I've never seen them build a 100,000 cluster or a 10,000 cluster, right? Let me say more 10,000 clusters, right? CoreWeave has a lot of 10,000. But that to me is what sometimes scares me with some of these other players that have just turned from data set from crypto mining to AI hyperscalers is I don't have that data. I have the data point that they have plenty of power, which is great because that alone is a bottleneck. But I don't have the data point just yet on how they're able to run these massive AI infrastructures. Um, at those deals. And I agree, right? David, this is a great counterpoint to that, right? Microsoft trusts them to handle that 72K chip, right? And Meta's do it. So you definitely have those partnerships. But to me, that's why I guess I'm not sleeping in iron, but that's why I guess I put CoreWeave on top. It's not that just companies are trusting them, but I actually see the data point. Um, so definitely. I mean, um, if I was to rank my top three AI infrastructures, it would be CoreWeave, Nebius, and then Iron. For me, Iron is just the one I know the most about. June says that she thinks Skywater makes quantum chips. I was not familiar with that, right? I actually don't know much about either IonQ or Skywater's towers. But if that is the case, then that makes sense. Um, and what was it? A $3 billion, $3 billion acquisition? Does IonQ have that cash? I don't. Again, I don't follow it. How does the market? The market doesn't like it. $15 billion buying a $2 billion deal. Um, the question is this going to be one of those teledoc deals where right now it looks like a nice deal, but in 2-3 years from now, will the market cap of IonQ be even smaller than the acquisition? Again, I don't follow this market. I know I don't want to scare any quantum name investors, but it kind of gives me a little bit of that vibe, right? But quantum, I think overall market is selling off. It seems quantum names aren't excited, but I think most names aren't excited today, right? Nebius is green. Nope. Iron down. All right. It seems like just overall a lot of the hyper growth, high volatile names are seeing 6% drops. Is anybody buying anything today? Yeah. Yeah, right. So yeah, it's not, I don't want to make it bearish for iron. It's just, I don't have that data point for my thesis. Right. So if once I get that data point, I think that's the other thing. Um, yes, so I still have it for Eddie. Eddie, my apologies. Edster, is this Eddie? I had it for Eddie, but Edster, similar name. Do you just have two accounts? I did not. I still have it. I was shoveling like crazy. Oh, it is Eddie. I didn't finish. I'm Eddie J, by the way, just different account. I should read first before commenting. Um, Eddie tomorrow. All right, I promise. I was shoveling. I shoveled like 4 times this week, which is wild. It was a crazy storm here in Jersey. Do. All right, where was I? Jose, did you watch the stock ticker U video on how AMD is in trouble due to Nvidia's new shared memory architecture? I think it's overstated because AMD has years to just pile in more memory on chips. I did watch the video, right? Because a lot of people were commenting on it. I think it depends on how you're looking at an investment between AMD. What's your bullish thesis on AMD? The way I looked at the video is Alex, pretty much. And let me just say, I don't want the internet taking this. I actually know Alex. I met him at GTC. I met his wife. He seems like a great person. He's actually helped me out a lot with just some of the YouTube stuff. But it all depends on how you're seeing AMD as an investment. I think if you're seeing as Nvidia is gonna get beaten by AMD, then that video did really well by explaining why AMD can't catch up to Nvidia, because Nvidia is leading this market, right? Nvidia is making new solutions every so often, right? Nvidia led the market with NVL 72, right? They were the first ones to have 72 GPUs to be able to connect it with each other in the public space. AMD is now just doing this. Now, NVIDIA just created the new storage system because of the bottlenecks, right? NVL 72 was an extreme bottleneck on inference, right? And HB and kind of having a massive single-headed GPU. NVIDIA is going to continue to be the lead player. That's not my bullish case on AMD. My bullish case on AMD is this market is growing at such rapid levels. The market is so supply constrained that even if you have somewhat of a competitive chip, you can benefit from it, right? My bullish take for AMD has never been you're going to take market share from NVIDIA. You're going to demolish NVIDIA. That is not my bullish take. And I agree with Alex where it's not going to happen. And that's how I saw his video, right? So, I'm not bearish on AMD after that video. It's exactly how I see it. I think the supply constraint is going to last multiple years. AMD is going to be able to do fine. So maybe I missed it, but I think, yes. So that's the thing, right? So I think that was the video. And I understand not wanting to invest in the number two player. I think that's great. You might just want to invest in the winner, and that's a great investment thesis. And I agree. I think that video is assuming AMD needs to win. AMD does not have to win for its revenues to go up, for its earnings per shares to go up, for it to sell GPUs, for it to sell CPUs. It doesn't have to win. So again, it's all dependent on the bullish thesis. If your bullish thesis on AMD is that you're going to crush Nvidia, I think you should watch that video. And AMD is not going to crush Nvidia anytime soon. Nvidia is just moving at rapid levels. But that doesn't mean AMD is going to be a bad investment. Jose, would you hold Intel? Would I hold Intel? I don't know. Right? I see the bullish opportunities here for Intel. I don't know if I would hold it. I think I like other players before. I would rather add to other players before investing in Intel, right? That's not saying that Intel is bad. I just have more conviction in other plays, and I'd rather increase those convictions than buy Intel, right? I'd rather increase Amazon or Meta or Nvidia at a forward PE ratio where we're at right now, or AMD or Marvell than buying Intel, right? It's even though this can be, I mean, if they do well with the foundry business, it can definitely be exciting. Now, if you can give me Intel at a market cap of like 150 billion, now I maybe my thesis might change a little bit. At $200 billion, with what I know now, I see why it's a $200 billion versus $100 billion that it was 6 months ago. But if now, with what we know now, and the market gives us a better price target, that could change my thesis on Intel. David, any thoughts on MDS? I do not follow this one. I hear this one a lot. Can someone give me a quick one-on-one on this one? But definitely not. Hey, Jose, I saw this morning's Jensen interview. Very bullish on CoreWeave. Why was the share value at 87 point? That could be the thing, Russell. I didn't see the interview. I want to watch it, Russell. So hopefully I can find it online. Um, but it could have been a deal that was done weeks ago and they just disclosed it. Rich, I just bought Apple today. Apple, wow. Rich, curious to see why would you be buying Apple today? Again, just want to learn from others, right? I'm curious to see. Um, Ed, no, validation. I answered. Do you like Meta into this earnings still so cheap? I mean, as an earnings play, Alvin, I don't know, right? I don't invest companies to see if they're going to do well after earnings. We talked about Meta in the low 600s, right? The low 600s and Amazon in the low 220s. I like it, but I don't know if I would be buying Meta right now, right? I think the market gives you opportunities. I think it's run up a nice amount just in the past month from the 600 lows that we saw. Even in December, we saw those lows as well, right? Or November. Actually, a 15% gain is not that much. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be buying it. I felt like I increased my position, but I think long-term Meta is going to do well. I think they're doing really well with the investments in AI. I think they're doing really well with the advertisement space. Um, I think maybe I'm just a little cost basis right now, just because I was buying a little bit lower. But a 15% growth isn't that necessarily that crazy. But I wouldn't be buying it for earnings play, if that makes sense. Interesting. This is interesting. OMDS is an autonomous robotics and defense play. The company is growing from about 40 million last year to roughly 200 million this year, with management guiding. That's actually pretty interesting. Is it one of those, has it seen a massive market cut? 4.7 years to date, 1 year. Okay, definitely saw a massive reaction. So maybe this is one of those stocks for me, where, oh, I wasn't even showing. Whoops. I had the wrong screen open. On the S. So for me, I mean, definitely a massive run up, highly volatile, I'm gonna guess. It's one of those stocks that I wouldn't mind doing information gathering now, to see if there's a pull down and maybe increase it there. But yeah, it's just Mantis, what's going on? Thank you, Jose, for your work. Appreciate it. I enjoy that you guys enjoy some of my knowledge. Jose, your knowledge paid for my most recent vacation. Thank you, Sean. Appreciate that. Hope you had fun. Sean, hopefully you went somewhere warm. Unless you like the cold, then hopefully you went somewhere cold. Or maybe you don't like the warm or the cold. Hopefully you went somewhere where it's a good temperature for you. Madman, what do you think of Adobe? Adobe, I think the software market continues to get punished by the narrative that AI is going to eat it. I don't think that's necessarily right, but the market sentiment can last a lot longer. It's crazy, right? In the past 5 years, if you've invested in Adobe, you've pretty much suck. I think AI is definitely going to help Adobe. I think AI, but at a market cap of 125 billion, I don't know, right? I don't know. Would you? The business is going to do well. I just don't know about an investment on it, right? Business is going to do well, but what makes this a $500 billion market? What makes this a two bagger or a 250? What makes this a three bagger, right? Though that's my investment style. It's like, how can I get this? Can I see this being a multi-bagger within the next 5 years? If not, why don't I just invest in Max 7s, which I feel more comfortable in? As a business, I think Adobe's going to do fine. I read their most recent earnings. They talked about how more of their customers are using AI credits, how more of their customers are using more AI tools, how they're integrating not just Adobe tools, right? That you can use bananas, Black Forest models. You can use all types of models within their platform, which is extremely well. So I think the business is going to do really well. Sentiment is crazy, and what makes this a $500 billion opportunity in the future? Let's see what else. Do you have any views on Intuit? Definitely not. Definitely not. Thanks for saying. The other question I have, if Nvidia would be selling the H200 chips to China, Jensen stated Nvidia guidance did not include China. AMD sales, yes, yes. So this is opportunity, right? And Russell, one of the things that I've talked about the China market is the China market is extremely constrained in AI chips, right? They're very constrained in the AI chip market. So China, right? Their customers now, their companies are able to buy AI chips, but they don't know if retaliations, if this tension between United States and China may come back. So what I see happening is these Chinese companies are going to call Nvidia first and say, "Hey, Jensen, how many chips can you give me? Okay, you can give me these many chips. I actually need more and more chips because what happens if we can't buy any more chips in the future?" So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to hang up with Jensen and I'm going to call Lisa Su. Lisa, how many chips can you get me? Now I'm trying to store as many AI chips as I can in China because I don't know how tensions are going to shift next quarter or the quarter after that. And I'm just going to try to buy and store as many AI chips as possible. I mean, first, welcome on the Athletics. Oak. Maybe I should have just said Oak. Welcome to the investing world. You're gonna make a lot of mistakes. You're gonna learn a lot from others. Um, I'm extremely bullish in AI, but there's other markets to be bullish in, right? Um, I think SOXQ is fine, right? I think if you're trying to get your toes wet into the semiconductor market and not want to risk it in one company's, a semiconductor ETF is probably one of the best approach, right? If my brother calls me right now and says, Jose, I want to invest in chips, how can I do that? I'd be like, you know what? I'd rather just have you just invest in a semiconductor ETF. Because you're not interested in the market. You don't care who ends up winning. You just want your investments to grow. Jose has Jensen and Lisa on speed dial. I wish. Um, boop, 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 boop. All right, guys. I am done with my hour. I appreciate these. I feel like the streams are getting a little bit more, are getting better and better and better. Hope you guys are enjoying it as much as I am. I'll be on tomorrow, same time, 11 to 12, just a quick 1 hour of Q&A. But yeah, I hope everybody has a good day. Stay warm, stay safe, and see you all tomorrow. Now, time for me to do my awkward and stream. And make sure to hit the thumbs up, subscribe button. Check out whatthechiphappen.com. Use code 2026 for 33% off. And check out fiscal.ai/Jose for 15% off charts. Whew. All right, peace out. This time for real.